Hello and welcome to FBL Broadcasting COVID update with Aylesbury Town Mayor Mike Smith, all courtesy of Canadian Corporation, everybody, by the way, just to add that in. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hello, Martin. I'm very well. How are you? Better.
Better, yeah. I was off last week, everybody. Sorry I didn't put any posts out, actually. I was really ill. I had a really bad throat. Thank you, doctor, for giving me some antibiotics. It wasn't COVID, in case anybody was asking. So I spent a week literally hardly sleeping, didn't eat for a week, and but I'm back better now, so that's all good. But thank you. You haven't been ill, have you?
No, I've been absolutely great this last few months. Yes.
To be fair, Mayor, you always look good. I hate you for it. You always look good.
You're very kind, thank you.
So look, 3 weeks ago, so I'm going to call you Mystic Mayor Mike Smith today. I think if I had that mystic hat, I would put it on. You warned us 3 weeks ago. I did post something out today as I was scrambling around to catch up with all my work and everything, especially from our last meeting. Again, apologies I haven't got that out there, Mayor, but they will be coming out in this week, or a little update, especially with the night stop with the youth concern. But you said 3 weeks ago, you've been to these meetings, and we are going to hit tier 3 if we're not careful. And I mean, really careful. And lo and behold, like the release I did today, and I did that today on purpose, frantically run around typing and creating little things, little thumbnails, which would be you with a flare, basically saying, he warned us. So you did. And now look, we're in lockdown. So were you called into any meetings prior to this lockdown, or once the government announced it? Was it Monday, wasn't it? I think
it was Saturday. I think the news was due to be out on Monday, and then certain things leaked to the press, so they moved the briefing to last Saturday. We weren't informed, although I think we all more than suspected. We all had a pretty good idea that a national lockdown was on the way. Before that, we'd had places moving, up the tiers quite rapidly in some cases, and I think the feeling was that it was getting to the stage. Well, the scientists had said, unchecked, it could grow to something like a couple of thousand deaths a day.
Yeah,
and I think it's arguable whether the national lockdown is the right step to take, or whether dealing with it locally is a more appropriate step. But I think the government probably felt they had to send out a message to be seen to be acting tough to get it under control. And hence we are where we are. A month-long lockdown, which I could argue that the scientists were telling the government several weeks previously, go for a 2-week lockdown and you'll get it under control.
During half term.
Left it. And now we're stuck with what they're saying is a 4-week lockdown, but most people I'm talking to are saying wouldn't be surprised at all if it goes on longer.
It will. And that's really going to annoy my daughter. It's going to be her 18th birthday on December 5th. So, I feel for all the youngsters out there, especially when you've got 21st and 18. Your 18th. You want to go out there and go to the pub and have a pint. And as a parent, you kind of want to take them out for their first pint. Probably the chances are they've already had one before that anyway. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be lifted out of this on the 2nd. I really don't. I mean, ENG Sports UK, fantastic company working with the youth, doing the netball, as I've explained before. We were about to start doing live shows of all the league games, and that's all been we've had to cancel that now. We didn't care about it being tier 3 because it was a sport. We were still allowed to obviously, we're going to go into older. We were going to go to. It didn't matter. We had precautions in place already for safety reasons, and then all of a sudden this has just blown it out. And all things like with the government and what they're doing with, their furlough scheme, they've now stretched to March, which is picked up on that today. Your fans kicking in.
I just heard it myself.
It's one of those things. Like a company like me does get no financial help, and it's just it's annoying. But then again, lockdown, there is a good thing about this lockdown, and I've got to admit, this is for all those parents, and you probably might smile. I'm going to see let's see if you don't smile with this. Are you ready? You ready? So with this lockdown, it's not a real lockdown as in such, because kids can still go to school. But with this lockdown, it's parental lockdown. So with parental lockdown, kids go to school at 9 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? I think we're going to have a little baby spurt going on. You smile. I knew it. You couldn't say that.
Yes. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, it's going to be like, come on. Kids are at school, hon. You know,
yeah.
It's going to be.
Shops are closed, restaurants are closed.
Yeah.
No grassroots sport going on. How do we entertain ourselves and get a bit of some sort of exercise into the bargain?
Definitely exercise. Obviously, probably not outside. You'll get arrested, but keep it inside. But you know, it's. I think it's also going to be quite a nice one. I think actually, because it's really hard for parents with youngsters, and I mean toddlers. I mean, and we're talking, you know, between that age of 5 and 10. I think, you know, they got some alone time now. So, you know, let us know in the comments, everybody, if you're looking forward to this lockdown for the next 4 weeks. We can take your name out if needed, or maybe you just want to say, yeah. Well,
in some ways, it will be better than the previous one because kids are at school. I think more things are remaining open than did previously. Things like garden centres and play parks. But at the same time, I think it's going to be tougher because it's cold, it's dark, there's less time to go out and get your exercise outside. And I think there's going to be that constant worry that are we going to be stuck in this position come Christmas, which I think is quite a depressing thought for a lot of people.
Sorry, your fan kicked in. We missed that a little bit.
I'm just thinking if people are, and some people are already saying to me, it's going to be a lot longer than 4 weeks. We could be in this position for Christmas, and that's quite a depressing thought.
We talked about this 3 weeks ago with the cancelling Christmas. Again, that's one of the updates I'll be putting on the YouTube channel. Please click on like and subscribe and alerts on, and you'll get notified when that comes out. Again, just a snippet from our little interview from 3 weeks ago, just to let people know exactly what we talked about. But this is something that you said about, especially remembrance as well. This is another big thing. So what
this Sunday coming up? I think we were all completely confused about what could and couldn't happen. It was really near enough impossible to make any plans. There won't be the big public event and parade and march past. We know that people do want to mark remembrance, so I think people will be able to go and lay wreaths privately and stand socially distanced in silence. Obviously, we can't have the numbers coming into the square at 11 o'clock, so we're asking people to, if you're coming to Market Square, do it staggered over the course of the day, or even over the following few days leading up to the 11th, or mark 2 minutes silence on your own doorstep, do your own thing at home.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Because I think it's like saying you don't have to go to church at 10 o'clock every Sunday to be a good Christian, and that applies to all religions.
Yeah.
You don't, to mark remembrance, you don't need to be in a particular place at a particular time. And in these circumstances, I think everyone takes that message on board. So it's tough because it's something I've been really proud of, how many people in Aylesbury come out and do it so respectfully year after year. So to have to do it differently is going to be tough, but it's one of those things that we have to do.
If you do me a favour, if you speak to Ruth, if there's anything I can try and do, I mean, obviously with the kit, O2 seem to fix their problems now, by the way. So if there's something I can do somehow, I don't know, we can link up and I can help promote, and not promote, but broadcast something so that we can show remembrance. And I mean, I've been meaning to do it last year, but obviously restrictions on the equipment that we had and the logistics of stuff. But this year, obviously, we've got a lot more better equipment as well. So if Ruth wants to reach out to me, then if there's something we can do, because obviously if you've got a less amount of things that you're doing for the parade or whatever, then maybe that's something I can help and gets people thoughts and get people talking. So, but
okay, I'll happily put you in touch with Ruth, and the team at the town council are all working from home again, but they are still doing their jobs, and I'm sure we'll be happy to hear from you.
And big hi to all of them as well. Thank you for all your help and friendship over the years as well. And I do miss catching up with them. I really do. We've got a message here from Stomping Partridge. Hello, Stomping Partridge. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Mike, what's the chance of a new allotment site for Aylesbury? Allocate a little chunk of the Quarrendon playing fields, perhaps. There we go. You can't allocate the playing fields when you're there for football. But anyway, what do you think to that, Mike? Yeah, Mike, I should say.
It's an interesting thought, and there is a lot of demand for allotments. There always have been waiting lists for most of the sites. We've got 7 sites around the town and about 700 allotments altogether. But there are quite often quite long waiting lists. I wouldn't take away playing fields or other leisure facilities, but buying land, even if it's for something, should we say, non-commercial like allotments, you still have to pay the going rate for land, which is hideously expensive.
Yeah.
It's something we would like to consider if we get the chance, and if someone was willing to donate a patch of land to the town council, and we would perhaps sign a covenant to say we will only use it for allotments. We won't sell it on to a housing developer or anything like that.
Oh, can they lease you the land, for instance, for nothing, so to speak? So they still retain rights, but they allow you to use it as an allotment.
It's an interesting thought. If anyone out there has got spare land and wants to talk to the town council about it, allotments really have become very popular in the last few years, with gardening programs and everything, as well as people being more concerned about what they eat and keeping fit. And I think that's really taken off during the last 6-7 months, because one of the ways to get some exercise, not have to join the throngs in Tesco's or Sainsbury's to get your vegetables, is to go out and grow them on your own allotment. So they are becoming ever more popular. It's a good suggestion, although perhaps not that suggestion, but we'd be very willing to talk to anyone that wants to help us expand the allotments in Aylesbury.
There you go, Stomping Partridge. Hopefully that was good enough information for you, and thank you for giving us a couple of ideas, or giving the mayor some ideas. And anybody, if you've got any land that you wish to lease for free to the Aylesbury Town Council, then is it Aylesbury Town Council? I've got that wrong again.
Town Council, yes.
It is Aylesbury Town Council stuff. But yeah, that will be great. Shall we move quickly on to these COVID numbers? Do you really want to look at them?
Numbers, I hadn't seen them when we came on. I know yesterday we were at nearly 500 deaths, weren't we? Which was quite alarming.
Yeah, well, let's bring it up, shall we? That's going to be the. There we go. So I'll put them across the bottom as well. No problem, by the way, Stomping Partridge. Glad we could help. I love my tech. Sometimes it confuses myself. Here we go. So massive changes we've got here. So 47,742 deaths. Latest daily figures is 492. Now the total cases. Now I have read my little notes here, which was last time we were showing that. So that's 3 weeks ago. 654,644 to now 1,099,059. and the latest is 25,000. The latest daily is 25,177, which I didn't write that down last time. But yeah, I mean, that's total cases to jump that much is a little bit of a. Well, I didn't take heed of your communication from 3 weeks ago. So,
yeah, I'm not going to go down the road of some government ministers who seem to be blaming the public entirely for this. I think the advice has been confusing and the messages have been mixed. But obviously, I think we all know or have become aware of people who are either just completely flouting the rules or bending them slightly, perhaps because they're not 100% sure what those rules are. So I think it's understandable that we are now in a position where the rules are absolutely as clear as can be, and they're for the whole of England. We've got the national lockdown. As I say, maybe not necessarily the right answer, but there's no cause for confusion about, well, what tier am I living in? I don't know. And what are the rules that apply to that tier? So it's kind of probably sledgehammer to crack a nut, or it's perhaps something that's not entirely necessary in all places, but at least you've got a clear message going out everywhere. And if it's if it's for a few weeks, I think people will put up with it in the main. If it goes on longer, then you've probably got a difficulty with keeping people on side and compliant with it.
I've got a problem with those figures. I really have. I mean, they've doubled in 3 weeks. I mean, if we look at, it's one of those things I don't kind of want to say, and what I do, I've got to say it, because what's the point in doing this if I don't give my saying in it? But if you remember rightly, last week or 3 weeks ago, do you remember this graph? Of this, whatever. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Now look at the change that we see here. I mean, we're here, obviously. Oxford was yellow. We had Watford that was yellow. And obviously we discussed the 280. I remembered the 280. Well done, Mayor, for last 3 weeks ago. Get the number of the bus. So we've got, everything's just yellow now. So you're saying to me in 3 weeks, it's all of a sudden just exploded, which is a bit like if it was moving that quick, then we should have been in lockdown 2 weeks ago. You know, so what's going on? Are these figures just being released? Are they being manipulated? It's a work for me to say that, you know, and I've been pretty much on with the ball with the numbers and saying this and that. But for 3 weeks, for that to just go from blue, we were surrounded by blue except for in Oxford and Watford. So, like, boom, we are yellow ourselves. You know, we're at 122 per 100,000 when it was 84 3 weeks ago. So that's a massive increase. Massive.
Yeah, and I think that shows that the situation was getting out of control everywhere. It wasn't just your Liverpools and your Manchesters and your Nottinghams, where they moved. They were the ones in tier 3 and clearly having the well publicised scale of problems. I think it was growing everywhere, but just ever so slightly under the radar until, well, it's exponential growth, isn't it? Once it starts taking off, it accelerates and accelerates, and it's very hard to get it back under control. So that is quite a startling change, and I think that brings it home to people that don't think we're in the south of England, everything's low risk and everything's okay, and we shouldn't be in these measures. I think there's good reason for us needing to be much more tightly on top of this.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got rising hospital admissions. Northwest, Northeast, and Yorkshire. I mean, they're just off the charts, aren't they? They've gone up to 300. Midlands as well. Wales is now they're in lockdown, so theirs is plateaued.
You can see that happening, yeah.
Yeah. So London's obviously Scotland's plateaued as well. They're in lockdown, aren't they? And then we've got obviously the southeast, which everything's climbing. London, southwest, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland's in lockdown, are they? I can't remember.
I think they went into some tougher measures a few weeks ago. I think the other three nations were ahead of us in various ways.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's a startling thing. I mean, hospital admissions we've got to worry about, obviously, because we don't, inundate the NHS and put them so that they don't have the capacity.
Not with winter coming up and all the extra pressures on the NHS that you always have anyway. So,
this is why the furlough scheme is quite an interesting one. Them stretching it to March, which seems to me that the government's pretty much saying, look, just stay home, just stay safe. I mean, again, no help again, really, financially, I think, for people who are shielding. But I cannot say this enough. And I think my sort of, even though I'm no health advisor or anything, I've always said to people who are shielding, stay in. Don't go out. If you do, then make sure there's nobody near you, no runners, no whatever. Keep yourself nice and safe, because you don't want to get it if you've got any underlying conditions. But I mean, there's the psychological aspect of staying in the house for whatever. Own your company for a few years. You'll learn about staying in the house as well, but and not expanding. But yeah, it's a weird thing. It's furlough till March. Again.
Yeah, the signal from that is it's going to be a really tough winter, and that's the government saying we recognise and understand that we need to provide help right through this long winter. That's my fan again.
Yeah, it is.
If we're going to keep doing this, it may be time for me to upgrade my old laptop.
I think it might be, mate.
You can actually hear me.
That's fine. I mean, yeah. Look, we'll work on that for next time. But I mean, again, thank you for this interview today, because obviously, I know you've got to go somewhere as well. You've got other things planned. But this update I thought was quite important, especially from yourself. So deaths. Let's quickly go to the deaths. I just want to quickly get into the. I mean, they've gone up. 7-day average is 295. If we go to the Buckinghamshire area, sorry, I'm flicking between screens. It's not always good. Right. Scroll down here. Again, on the BBC News site, all this information. As you see, 7-day average at 295 as of today. Where did I go past it? Our numbers between, where are we? Southeast, 1.2 to 1.4. I've lost my Buckinghamshire bit. Where is it? I must have scrolled past it. Oh, here we are. There we go. So we've got 122 cases per 100,000 in the Buckinghamshire area, 664 cases in the last week. That's up 50 from the previous week. 4,937 total cases and 422 deaths. It is in the area, it is doing its thing, isn't it? So,
yeah, we've all got a part to play, and we've all got work to do to get those figures back down again.
Yeah. Okay. Now there is another thing, just while we're here. So, as we're in the restrictions, these are what it means now as of today. So pubs and restaurants closed, but takeaways are permitted. Non-essential shops, leisure and entertainment venues are now closed. No households mixing indoors or in private gardens unless in your support bubble. Do you have a support bubble, Mayor?
I do, yes. So I live on my own. My partner lives on her own, and since was it June or July that we could have support bubbles?
Yeah,
that's what we've been. So yes, that's a relief, because that was a real a real strain and quite a difficult thing to get your head around mentally during the first lockdown, which for pretty much 3 months, just not seeing anyone, being entirely on your own, is really tough. So I think we've got to look after people's mental health as well as physical health. So I think continuing support bubbles is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, but I don't know what else to say to that except yes. You need the support bubble. I mean, having people locked away in their house on their own just because they're single is, I think, is wrong. I mean, the support bubble is about the child is involved, and I think that's wrong as well. I think you should be able to have a support bubble even if you're single and sitting on your own at home. You don't need people. Some people don't want to be in a relationship, so why should they have to just sit within their four walls? Why can't they create a link, so to speak, and have a friend that is their support bubble? Because
a friend or another relative. Yeah, we all need some form of human contact. We can all go out for a walk or a run and wave to people on the other side of the street, but that's not the same as actually being able to. You might have to sit on opposite sides of the room, but someone to actually have a one-to-one conversation with we're having a one-to-one conversation at the moment, but it's not the same as being in the same room. It's as great as it is talking to you, Martin, we all need to see people and be with people.
We do, and we got to go for a drink sometime or a coffee or whatever, catch up face to face, as I say.
When those venues reopen, yes, we'll definitely do that.
We'll definitely do that. Maybe join you on the Womble walk. There we go. So stay home, only leave for specific reasons, including education and work. Schools, university and colleges remain open. Remember that, parents. Schools are open. And outdoor recreation encouraged. You can meet one person outside your household. So they're the rules that we have to maintain and deal with for the next 4 weeks. So from your point of view, Mayor, what's in the plans with the council and yourselves to help during these 4 weeks?
Well, we will continue to offer support and signpost support. I and my colleagues will be once again looking to make phone calls to people we know to be on their own, just to check in with them so they can hear another voice, and if they need any extra help, they can be directed to that, or on some things we can help directly. I remember during the previous lockdown, people saying they couldn't get to the shops because of their health conditions, etc. So some of our volunteers actually went out and got them what they needed, dropped it on their doorstep, and that sort of good neighbourliness, which is exemplified by the How Can I Help Facebook page, which I think we've referenced before.
I think we have, yes.
Yeah, and Julie, who was the instigator of that, I was lucky and privileged to present an award to her last week. Luckily,
I saw that,
yeah. We wanted to recognise some of what we call our lockdown heroes, people who've helped to brighten up life and bring people together and just exemplify that community spirit. And Richard and his daughter from the Wombles was another one. So and the instigator of the Save Mix 96 campaign as well. So
Radio Aylesbury now coming to us in the new year.
Yes. It's good
It's
that
good to hear.
something's happening.
It is good to hear.
Yeah, so it obviously has to be different, smaller in scope. Obviously, it's online rather than broadcasting by traditional methods. But
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
I think
It's a
unless
community radio station, though, isn't it?
Hmm?
Is it a community radio station?
I'm not sure about the position on licensing, whether you can get a license for
FM.
Maybe I will check back in case that has changed.
Yeah, let me know. That'd be great. Because they should be able to have a license to broadcast FM. And if it's a money reason, is there not something that the Aylesbury town or the Bucks County can give one of their support grants? I mean, there's quite a few grants out there to help community radio. I mean, I looked at a few grants to push forward to see if is there anything I could do or help promote and push forward. Just fill out the forms and get in contact with certain individuals to see what I could do about creating a radio station, or if I couldn't, what could help. So if they've got any issues, they can speak to me or just pass it on.
With either of us, and anything we can do to help that, because I think what's come out of say Mix 96, although we didn't say it, was that there are so many people around who want a radio station that belongs to us and our town and our community. So we'll do whatever we can to help make that happen.
Well, I was thinking about me setting up a radio station, was creating that, filling that void. But again, unless, I don't want to do the community sort of side, as in run by the community. I wanted to run obviously by me, because I'm, it's a business, but it's community driven. So, but once the money rolls in, FBL radio will be out there. Don't you worry. We got a few messages coming in. Richard Tweed has wrote, what does the mayor think of the government and providing any evidence of viral isolation through the Freedom of Information Act?
Oh, that's
and then goes your siren. Your fan kicks in. Yeah. Do you know what that's about? Viral isolation?
No, I'm not sure. No. If he's able to explain in the message more about that.
Basically, what Richard Tweed is actually referring to there is that they can't prove that COVID exists. To prove a virus exists, you need to be able to take it out of its natural form to prove this is what it is. So, for instance, what's a car? This is a car. You can say it's got wheels, it's got a chassis. There you go. And with a viral, so basically, if you take a blood sample, you can actually take it out and say, imagine the virus was the car. You can take that. This is the virus. This car is the virus, and that's how you can tell it. So I believe that's right, Richard. Let us know, please, if in case I've got that wrong. We've got hopefully. Oh, he's wrote something down. He's also put, what does the mayor think of Public Health England admitting via their published report on the PCR test that they cannot detect infectious viral matter? There we go. It's just basically confirming what I was saying then.
Well, I as I've said many times, I'm not a scientist or a medical expert. I'm what little knowledge I have, I've picked up from the same sources that we're all getting. Yes, there's information that is vague. There's information that may be incorrect, and I'm not going to start to speculate on what's right and what's wrong. I think my main concern is the fact that politicians have been given scientific and medical information but don't seem willing to act on it quickly enough to make a difference to the situation. And I think that's, to me, the real reason where we are now. And I think that is definitely a failing of government.
Yeah. I mean, I did communicate with Jake Glanville prior to this interview today, and there's some interesting news coming out next week, which he won't tell me what it is. So that'll be quite interesting to see if that's available. The Centevax cure, 20-minute cure. Yeah, anyway, somebody else has wrote with a really weird word for their name, and they're just going on about cannabis, so we won't go on about that. Just saying about how it's illegal and barely legal and it's not fair. But anyway, there we go. So moving forward, what do you think people should really do for the next 4 weeks? Just sit at home, do nothing, work, feed the kids, repeat for 4 weeks.
Well, certainly if they've got kids, feeding them is a good idea. Get outside as often as you can, get plenty of exercise, eat well, try and stay positive. And if you're not feeling positive, reach out to a friend, or there are groups and agencies out there that can help. Don't sit there suffering. We've got to prove once again what a strong community we are. And we saw so many people showing that real positive willingness to help others, and I'm sure we'll get that again. So if you're one of the ones who wants to offer help, there'll be plenty of opportunities, and if you're one of the ones that needs help, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, that's
I think it is going to be a tough 4 weeks, although it's in some ways less severe than the previous lockdown. I think because of the time of year, and because we all thought it was getting better and now it's got worse again, that's going to have quite a negative impact on some people. So we've got to look out for them. And if there's someone out there that you haven't heard from for a few days or a while, check in on them. Just, oh, I was bored, I phoned to say hi, how are you doing? Just keep in contact, keep whatever human contact we're allowed to have, let's keep it going.
Yeah.
If we're going to beat this thing, we've got to do it as a community, not as individuals.
Again, reaching out. I mean, join us on the show, please. I am thinking of creating a probably for the next 4 weeks, probably every day, a couple of hour show during the day between about 12 and 2. So just a bit more fun. And I don't know. Now people are locked away in their house. They've got rid of the kids. They've had the party in the morning. They can have a little bit of fun with me during the day for a couple of hours. I want to reach out to a load of businesses as well, and charities as well, if they want to jump on, promote local business for one thing. They can, again, there is businesses open that are here to help, as in, we've got the Chiltern Brewery drive-through. You can get, you can still utilize that. I'll reach out to a few of those and get them, and they can show us what they do and whatever, and help promote obviously that. And with the charities, they can obviously speak to us and pass on any information. Maybe we can also direct people to certain websites, or basically ways to help. I mean, with youth concern, obviously the youth we're worried about. Obviously, it's one of your chosen charities, which you've raised a lot of money for. Any update with what this lockdown's done to them?
I think they have to close their premises again. They can't do the face-to-face counselling. I think it will be back to the phone and online counselling that was still vital and still worked really well for a lot of people during the first lockdown. And I'm sure there'll be young people who are needing that help, and they will always be there in some shape or form to provide it.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I'll push those videos out later on this week, leading to the earlier next week. I don't know if you saw it on the YouTube channel where I did the youth concern from last time. Tried to give it quite a prominent thing to get people to see it, and obviously donate. Richard, just keep on messaging, by the way. All viral matter needs to be identified by its unique genome. I think it's genome. The government could not provide a public report on what practical tests have been done to isolate COVID-19. How can there be a virus if it hasn't been proven to exist? So that's basically what I was saying to you earlier. Again, you're not an expert in the
I'm
field.
not, but I know that people are dying from something in quite large numbers, and it seems that is being spread by people getting together, which is why government are having to restrict that. That's my inexpert opinion, but I'm not in tune with this country's government on all that many issues, but in terms of doing the right thing, they've been slow to do it, but I think what they've done now is necessary, and I will support it.
Yeah. So you support the lockdown, is that correct?
I would say I support it in the absence of any knowledge I have that there's something else they could have done that could have got it back under control in a different way. I thought the localised lockdowns were the right way. They seem to make sense in a logical way, but the map you just showed us, showing the spread around this area, the areas surrounding us, and parts of Buckinghamshire, shows that everywhere in the country had a problem. It wasn't just the north of England that was suffering.
There we go. That one.
That's the one. That's the
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is alarming, isn't it? From the 3 weeks when we chatted last to that, I mean, something along the line has gone right. It's, I mean, that's,
yeah. If that was a map of election results, I'd be really pleased with it. But I shouldn't go.
Being a Liberal Democrat, of course.
But there you go.
That's an interesting one. Can we quickly just, I mean, again, weary of time because obviously you've got another pressing matter to deal with, but not that this is not a pressing matter, but you've given us time already. When it comes to elections, this is interesting. Like you said, if that was actually, if that was an election map, you'd be really, 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 really happy, wouldn't you? So is it Mr. Lambert, your leader in the Vale area? Is that correct?
Yes, Stephen Lambert is indeed the Lib Dem leader.
Yes. So maybe I should get him on here as like a shadow thing about the government. There we go. That'll be quite interesting. Maybe he'll be up for that, or you can reach out to him.
I'll have a chat to him. I'm sure he'd like to do that. Yeah.
I'll reach out as well to the Labour Party and speak to them, because it doesn't look like the Conservatives want to speak to me now. If they want to lock me out and ghost me out, then that's fine. And that's, again,
you've tried.
I've tried.
You had Greg Smith on a couple of times, didn't you?
Sorry, what? Pardon?
You had Greg Smith on a couple of times.
I have, and again, I thank him so much. To be fair, out of all the people I've communicated with, for the amount of time he gave me, which was 3 hours out of his own personal time. Again, he's an MP. That's what he's supposed to do anyway. But the amount of time he gave me, again, my hat's off to him, and I do thank him. And I, if he does come back on, I promise to limit it to 1 hour. But I had people crying to me on the phone about the scenarios they were under. I mean, I had people phoning me as well and communicating with other issues that, you'll never say it. I mean, one of the funniest things was, we're going to be tattooed up once we get a vaccination and stuff like that, which I said, I'll put it forward to the MP. Again, if an MP denies that won't happen and then it does, then it's like, well, no, hang on a second, you said back there. So sometimes the question may seem stupid, but needs to be asked. So, and asked in the right way. And if it's not, they can divert round. So, sorry, I see Richard Tweed just put, we'll upload the Public Health England published report. Then we're going to upload it to Richard, but okay. But yeah, reach out to Lambert. That'd be or Mr. Lambert. That'd be quite cool. Getting them in, getting his ideas, because elections isn't just about every 4 years. It really isn't. So, and that's what I'm trying to push forward here with what I'm doing with FBL, and covering concerts, covering obviously interviews and stuff like that. Is making, for instance, all MPs who get elected, we need to keep them on their toes, so to speak. And again, we have shadow MPs and that lot, obviously, in the Commons and everything like that. We should have it here as well, so locally based. So when people come up to vote, they actually know these candidates before that 4-year window comes up. Because if you only see somebody every 4 years, that doesn't promote you and push you forward that well. So,
and that's one of the biggest complaints that we all get, and all politicians are tarred with the same brush.
Yeah.
From my point of view, what I've always tried to do in the 20-something years I've been a local councillor is put a newsletter through everyone's door at least every 3 months or so, usually more often than that, though not been something we've been able to do so much during lockdown, just so they know what I've been up to, and most importantly, how to contact me.
And what area are you?
Sorry?
What area are you?
So my area is Aylesbury West, which is the west of Aylesbury.
West side. Sorry, I had to do it.
Along with Stephen Lambert, who is my fellow councillor for that area.
Okay.
And I think, in general, residents around the area tend to know who we are. I was out doing a bit of wombling, litter picking in the area today, and several people said hello, Mike, which is it's good to be recognised, and not recognition for its own sake, but people say, well, there's the guy that represents us and seems to do at least have a go at doing a reasonably good job of work about it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, getting yourself out there, getting known, and obviously keeping people updated to who you are, I think is always a good one. So there is one thing I'd like to say to you is, as you know, I am a smoker, and it's a bad thing, and you shouldn't smoke, children. Remember that if you are watching. It is a horrible habit. But I have made a conscious effort to make sure I don't drop any butt ends, because after what we chatted about, I was a little bit like, it's a bit like, right, put it back in the tin, it's finished, and then stinks out the tin, but it doesn't matter. But I make a conscious effort now. So if anything you should get from these interviews is you've converted one person as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I thank you for highlighting something that we don't always think about. Is, whatever we do, in whatever things that we do, that one thing about you saying how annoying it is that you had to pick that butt up. It's a bit like, I smoke rollies, so it's, a normal cigarette, a tailored is thick, isn't it? So it's not as bad. But I can imagine with, filtered tips that they're very, very, very hard to pick up. So I make sure they either go in the bin or they go in my tin till I get home. So there you go.
Well done.
Well, thank you for saying well done, but I apologise for me.
The next step is to stop creating those butts by stopping smoking altogether. But I'll leave that with you.
That's another thing. Mayor Mike.
That I took myself about 10 or 11 years ago now, and I know how tough it is giving up smoking, so do your best.
That's for another show. That's something totally different, that one. I'll explain that at another time. I get asked that quite a few times, but I'll explain that at another time. But look, obviously time's ticking on. So I'd like to thank you for your time. Now, again, to everybody out there, don't forget, comment, let us know how you're feeling and everything. Let us know if you like the idea of the show. Also, happy Guy Fawkes Day or night or whatever. Don't forget, be safe out there, please. I know that obviously we're in lockdown. Maybe you can say something as well, Mayor, and agree with this maybe. Arm's length with the sparklers, remember. Arm's length, keep them away. Don't look down the barrel of the loaded gun, as they say. Once it's lit, walk away. Don't go back to it. And let's make sure you don't end up in hospital, because they are very dangerous. And as always, kids, please make sure there's adult supervision. Even if you find any, make sure that you give them to an adult.
Couldn't agree more.
There we go.
And let your neighbours know if you're letting them off, if they've got animals or young children, just to get them out of the way.
That's a good point.
It can be quite, very distressing for animals. I don't want to spoil people's fun, and we all need fun in these difficult times, but like everything else we've been saying, enjoy yourself, but stay safe and keep everyone else safe. Yeah,
agreed. Totally agree with that one. Yeah. Mayor Mike, once again, we will catch up probably next few weeks or whatever. Do our proper one. This is more of an emergency lockdown one. Again, thanks for your time. And actually, let me just do one more thing quickly, which is just get my thing ready. There we go. Yes, stay safe. And any more information, any urgent, let me know. You can obviously do another show, but we will catch up later in a couple of weeks, if that's all right.
Definitely. Look forward to it.
Mayor Mike, have a good time and stay safe. Thank you very much.
And you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.